Hello again, Mark here for another lesson. This one was specifically requested by Marvin. So it's about basically all about chord inversions. So let's get right down to it. Basically, chord inversions is, as the name implies, inverting the different the note order of the chords. So you take a G chord, for example, and you have these chord tones, which is G, B, D, and then F sharp if you wanted to add that in there. So in your basic G major 7 chord, so we have G, B, F sharp, and then B. If you were to invert the chords or change the order, you get a different voicing. The first inversion would look something like this. It would be B, G, D, and then F sharp. So we have this. The next inversion would look something like this. The next inversion would look something like this. So you have, oops, another example would be dominant 7th chords. Say this is G7, so we have G, D, F instead of F sharp, and then B. If you were to invert that, invert it one more time, and then one last time. See the F's right there? So how would you apply this in a jam or improvisation? Basically, chords that are, what I like to do personally is have chords, when changing chords, I wanted to switch as little as possible. So instead of going something like, nothing's wrong with that, but you can mess around with it a bit by applying chord inversions. So something I would do, for example, would be, let's say G, this is a G also, G7, and then I move to a C7, and then D7, C7, and G7. And you can add chord extensions to it, like a 9th, C7, D7, D7, C, C7, and then G7. Another thing you can do, like if you're playing in a band situation, is since the bass player is playing the bottom note, you can move that bottom note right on top, right to the top right here. So such is the case with the G7 chord. Right? You can have the option of even more voicings if you move it on top. So this is the first position, this is the second position, third position, fourth position. Same thing with the major 7th chord. Instead of going, you could have it This one's my favorite one. And then, you know, this is a very familiar sounding one. You can do the same thing with it. So anyway, hopefully that helps out a bit. Oh, and you can also do it obviously with minor chords. Before I go, this would be your G minor 7th, and this would be your next inversion. That will be your next one. And then you can move it on top as well. Something like that. So anyway, once again, hopefully that helps out, and if you have any questions, feel free to message me or send me an email, something like that. Alright, so for now, goodbye.